My sister wanted to disrupt our wedding, but she didn't succeed in the best way. I always knew my sister had a flair for drama. The kind of person who couldn't stand being anything less than the center of attention, even if it meant ruining someone else's moment. Growing up, she pulled every trick in the book, faking injuries at my birthday parties, announcing fake relationships at family gatherings, even pretending to faint during my graduation speech. So when I got engaged to the love of my life, Emma, I braced myself. I expected snide remarks, eye rolls, maybe even a passive-aggressive toast at the wedding. But I didn't expect outright sabotage. It started subtly. Small things. At our engagement party, she accidentally spilled red wine on Emma's dress, twice. She offered to help with the wedding planning, only to book the wrong flowers, lose the venue deposit, and forget to order half of the invitations. Every step of the way, she found a way to make things more difficult for Emma. But the wedding day itself? That's where she truly outdid herself. I should have known when she insisted on making a toast. My sister, who had never once given a speech that wasn't about herself, suddenly wanted to wish us well in front of 200 guests. Yeah, right. I watched from our table as she clinked her glass and stood, a gleeful little smirk playing on her lips. Emma gave me a reassuring squeeze under the table. She, ever the optimist, believed my sister would behave. First of all, my sister began, voice dripping with saccharine sweetness, I just want to say how brave Emma is for marrying my brother. Laughter. The polite, confused kind. I mean, really. We all know how intense he can be. Stubborn. A little controlling. A lot controlling, actually. The laughter died down. A few heads turned toward us. Emma's grip on my hand tightened. And Emma, she continued, turning to my wife, I just want to say, we are all so impressed that you managed to, what's the word, tolerate him long enough to make it to today. There it was. A room full of our closest friends and family, all waiting for the joke to land. But it wasn't a joke. It was an ambush. My sister beamed, looking far too pleased with herself, waiting for the laughter that never came. The room was silent. Then Emma, my sweet, patient wife, smiled. Wow, Emma said, her voice carrying just enough amusement to sound effortless. You know, it's funny, I was just thinking about how much you must admire me, considering how often you try to be like me. That got a reaction. A few chuckles, a few gasps. My sister's smirk faltered. What do you mean? Emma stood, straightening her dress. Oh, come on. You know. She waved a hand. The hair color. The dress you bought last month, after I bought mine. The sudden obsession with my favorite restaurant, even though you hated it before I met your brother. And, of course, this speech, trying so hard to get the attention back on you. The tension in the room shifted. My sister's face turned pink. Emma leaned in slightly, lowering her voice just enough to be patronizing. If you wanted to wear white to the wedding, you could have just asked. Laughter. Real laughter this time. My sister's eyes widened, flicking down to her dress. It wasn't white, she wasn't that bold, but it was close. A pale champagne color that she clearly thought she could get away with. Emma tilted her head, as if just realizing something. Oh. Wait. That wasn't on purpose, was it? She covered her mouth in mock horror. Oh no. How embarrassing. More laughter. My sister, now looking more furious than humiliated, grabbed her wine glass and gulped half of it down in one go. Emma sat back down beside me, taking my hand again, her smile never fading. That was a lovely speech. Thank you for sharing. And just like that, my sister's plan backfired spectacularly. She spent the rest of the night sulking in the corner, and by the time we cut the cake, she had mysteriously developed a headache and left early. But the best part? The next morning, photos from the wedding were all over social media. And in every single one, my sister looked like she had just swallowed a lemon while everyone else was having the time of their lives. I couldn't have asked for a better wedding gift. The morning after our wedding, Emma and I woke up in our honeymoon suite, the ocean breeze drifting through the open balcony doors. It should have been a perfect, peaceful morning. And it was, until my phone started buzzing like a hive of angry bees. I groaned, reaching over to silence it, but Emma stopped me. You should check it, she said, amused. I have a feeling it's about her. Of course, she was right. My notifications were flooded with messages, family group chats, social media tags, and a few texts from my mother that simply read, "Fix this and what did you do to your sister?" Emma, sipping her coffee with the smirk of a woman who had won, raised an eyebrow at me. "Well? What's the damage?" I scrolled through the messages, biting back laughter. My sister had apparently spent the entire night furious. According to one of my cousins, she left the wedding early, ranting about how she had been set up and humiliated on purpose. Another message from my aunt read, "Your sister is saying Emma ruined the wedding. I think she means her own wedding, though. Yours was great." And then there was the photo. Oh, the glorious photo. Someone had managed to capture the exact moment Emma had put my sister in her place. There was Emma, poised and elegant, her smile effortless. And then there was my sister, mouth slightly open, caught mid-reaction, her eyes darting downward to realize that, yes, she had worn a suspiciously off-white dress, and yes, Emma had called her out in front of everyone. The internet did what the internet does best. By the time we landed at our honeymoon destination later that day, the photo had gone semi-viral among our social circles. The comments were brutal. Why do people try to outshine the bride? It never ends well. This is why I love Emma. She fights with class. Sis really thought she had a moment and got wrecked instead. My sister? She was not taking it well. Apparently, she had spent the night calling our parents, demanding they do something about it. What that something was, nobody knew. It wasn't like they could demand a redo of the wedding. My mom, ever the peacekeeper, tried her best. She left me a long, guilt-trippy voicemail about how I needed to apologize and make things right because my sister was devastated and too embarrassed to show her face in public. Emma, listening in while lounging on a beach chair beside me, rolled her eyes. "Oh no," she said flatly. "How will she ever recover?" I deleted the voicemail. By day 2 of our honeymoon, my sister's latest move made headlines, well, family headlines. She made a public post. A long, dramatic rant about how some people couldn't stand to see her happy and how certain brides were obsessed with humiliating her on her own brother's wedding day. She talked about how she'd graciously tried to make a heartfelt toast, only to be attacked and belittled for no reason. And, of course, she ended it with the classic, "I just wish people knew the real story." She probably expected sympathy. What she got instead was the social media equivalent of a slap upside the head. Even family members who usually tiptoed around her antics weren't having it. My cousin Sarah commented, "The real story? Like how you tried to make the wedding about you and got called out? Because we all saw that in real time, sis." Another relative added, "Maybe if you weren't so focused on attention, this wouldn't have happened." Then came my uncle, a man of few words but a legendary sense of humor, who simply posted a link to the viral photo of her mid-embarrassment, with the caption, "This you?" By the time we got back from our honeymoon, my sister had gone completely radio silent online. She deleted her post, blocked half the family, and, according to my mom, was deeply depressed over how unfairly everyone had treated her. My mom wanted me to reach out. I didn't. Emma didn't, either. We had a life to live. And if my sister wanted to wallow in the consequences of her own actions, well, she had plenty of time to do that. By the time Emma and I returned from our honeymoon, I was fully prepared to ignore my sister for the foreseeable future. I thought she'd sulk for a few weeks, maybe make a few passive-aggressive comments at family gatherings, and eventually move on when she found a new drama to create. I was wrong. Not only had my sister not moved on, but she had doubled down. My mother cornered me the day we got back. "You need to apologize to your sister," she demanded before I'd even finished setting down my suitcase. I sighed. For what? For humiliating her. I scoffed. "You mean for not letting her humiliate Emma?" My mother gave me that tight-lipped frown she always did when she knew I was right but refused to admit it. "She's hurting. She feels like she's lost the family support." I didn't even pretend to care. "Sounds like a personal problem. She just needs to hear that you still love her." That made me laugh. "Oh, I still love her?" Because from where I'm standing, she's the one who tried to ruin my wedding and then played victim when it backfired. Mom sighed dramatically, rubbing her temples like she was the one suffering here. "She's embarrassed, okay? Everyone is talking about her. You know how much she cares about her reputation." I raised an eyebrow. Then maybe she should have thought about that before trying to humiliate my wife in front of 200 people. She just wants to talk, my mother pleaded. I wasn't interested in talking. I was, however, interested in what came next. Because my sister, for all her dramatics, was about to make the biggest mistake of all, she was about to give Emma another opportunity to outshine her. And this time, my wife wasn't holding back. The thing about people like my sister? They never learn. A month after our wedding, Emma and I hosted a casual dinner at our house with close friends and family. Nothing extravagant, just an evening of good food, drinks, and catching up. And that's when my sister dropped her big news. She stood up in the middle of dinner, cleared her throat, and with a beaming smile announced, "I have amazing news, everyone." I exchanged a glance with Emma, who immediately set down her wine glass, her lips twitching in amusement. "My boyfriend and I are engaged," my sister declared, holding up her hand to show off a gaudy, oversized ring that looked like it came from a clearance sale. "We're getting married next year." The table erupted into polite applause. But there was something off. The energy in the room didn't match her enthusiasm. Nobody was rushing to congratulate her. Because everyone knew. They knew exactly why she was making this announcement now. After weeks of sulking, my sister had clearly decided that the best way to reclaim the spotlight was to stage an engagement and attempt to recenter herself as the family's main character. It was so painfully obvious. And Emma? Emma saw right through it. "Wow," my wife said, her tone dripping with just the right amount of delightful insincerity. "That's so exciting. You must be thrilled to be engaged so soon after our wedding." My sister's smile twitched. "Well, we've been talking about it for a while." "Oh, I'm sure you have," Emma interrupted smoothly, reaching for her wine. "You've always had such excellent timing." My sister's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Emma feigned innocence. "Nothing. It's just," she took a sip, then set her glass down. "You always know how to pick the perfect moment to make things about you." Silence. The tension at the table was delicious. My sister looked furious. "Well," she said, trying to recover, "I thought this dinner would be the perfect time to share the news with everyone." Emma smiled. "Of course you did." My sister hated it. Because there was nothing she could do. She had already lost the room, and she knew it. But the best part? The absolute icing on the cake? My uncle, who had long since tired of her antics, leaned back in his chair, smirked, and said, "So, when's the wedding? Hope you're not planning on copying your brother's venue and theme." The dig landed beautifully. My sister bristled, but she forced a tight smile. "We're still figuring that out." I grinned. "Well, you've got plenty of time to get it right this time." Emma hid her smirk behind her wine glass. And just like that, my sister lost again. She tried so hard to outshine us, to rewrite the narrative where she wasn't the villain of the wedding disaster. But she failed. Because no matter how much she tried to steal the spotlight, she always forgot one simple truth. The people who deserve attention don't have to fight for it. And Emma? Emma would always win. By the time my sister's engagement announcement flopped harder than her failed wedding sabotage, I thought she'd take the hint and back off. Maybe focus on actually planning her wedding instead of competing with mine. But nope. She still had one last trick up her sleeve. And this time, she wasn't just coming for Emma. She was coming for me. A few months after the disastrous dinner, my sister's wedding planning was in full swing, or at least, that's what my mother claimed every time she tried to guilt me into calling my sister. "She's been so stressed," Mom whined over the phone one day. "She's really hurt that you and Emma haven't offered to help." I blinked. "You mean the same sister who actively tried to ruin our wedding? She regrets that." I highly doubted it. "She just wants to move forward," Mom continued. "You two are siblings. She wants you at her wedding." That part made me pause. Because up until that moment, my sister hadn't said a word about her wedding to me. No invitation. No details. Nothing. And sure enough, a few weeks later, when her official wedding invitations were sent out, guess who didn't get one? Me. And Emma. I would have found it hilarious if it weren't for my mother's reaction. She called me the moment she realized. She must have forgotten. That's the only explanation. "Right," I said dryly. Because forgetting to invite your only sibling is a totally normal accident. She wants you there, Mom insisted. Just reach out. Clear the air. I had no intention of doing that. But Emma? Emma had a better idea. If my sister wanted to pretend we didn't exist, we were more than happy to oblige. But that didn't mean we couldn't have fun with it. Since we weren't invited, Emma took it upon herself to send a wedding gift so thoughtful, so perfectly petty, that it would haunt my sister for years. A framed photo. Not just any photo. The photo. The exact moment from our wedding when Emma completely obliterated my sister in front of the entire reception. The viral one. The one my sister had desperately tried to erase from existence. Emma had it printed on high-quality canvas, framed in an elegant, gold-trimmed border, and wrapped it beautifully with a heartfelt note. Wishing you a wedding as unforgettable as this moment. Love, Emma and Tara's. We had it delivered to the reception hall. My cousin, who was invited, later told us what happened. Apparently, my sister opened the gift in front of a table of guests. The moment she saw the photo, she turned bright red and tried to shove it back into the box. But it was too late. People had already seen it. Laughter. Whispers. The exact kind of attention she didn't want. And the best part? She couldn't even make a scene about it. Because what was she supposed to do? Admit she deliberately didn't invite us? If she threw a fit, it would confirm that she had done it on purpose. So she had to smile. She had to grit her teeth, pretend it was funny, and endure the humiliation all over again. According to my cousin, she left the picture behind at the venue. But don't worry, someone made sure it got back to her. We never heard a word about it. No angry calls. No dramatic posts. Just silence. And that's how I knew we had won. Because for the first time in her life, my sister had nothing to say. Epilogue. It's been a year since all of this happened, and I'd love to say my sister changed. That she finally realized she couldn't manipulate and sabotage her way into being the center of attention. But, no. She's still the same person. Still bitter. Still resentful. The only difference? She finally knows that when she comes for Emma, she will lose. Every time. As for Emma and me? We're happier than ever. We're expecting our first child soon, and the best part? My sister doesn't even know. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge isn't humiliation. It's living well, without the people who tried to bring you down. And that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you for watching the video, like it if you watched the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.